Good.
Hare Krishna. Good evening. This evening we will continue on how to control the mind. And we will start reading with we will start with reading a verse of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita, Dhyana Yoga, text 34. This is Arjuna speaking. Sansalam imana Krishna pramati balavatritam tasyam niham anye vayoriva suduskram. Word for word translation. Sansalam, flickering. He, certainly. Mana, mind. Krishna. Oh Krishna. Pramati, agitating. Balavat, strong. Dritam, obstinate. Tasya, it's. Aham, I. Nihyaham, subduing. Manye, think. Vayo, of the wind. Iva, like. Suduskaram, it's difficult. So, translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think it's more difficult than controlling the wind. So the mind is restless, chanchalam, turbulent, pramati, very strong, balavat, and the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, I think it's more difficult than controlling the wind. The purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The mind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes overcomes the intelligence. Although the mind is supposed to be subservient to the intelligence. For a man in the practical world who has to fight so many opposing elements, it is certainly very difficult to control the mind. Artificially, one may establish a mental equilibrium toward both friend and enemy, but ultimately no worldly man can do so, for this is more difficult than controlling the raging wind. In the Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad 1.3 verses 3 and 4, it is said, Atmanam ratinam vidi sariram ratamevacha Buddhim tu saratim viti mana pukha hamevacha. Indriyani ayan auch visayam te sugocham. Atmendriya mano yuktam bhakteta uch manishina. The individual is the passenger in the car of the material body, and intelligence is the driver. Mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer in the association of the mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinkers. Intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes one's own intelligence. As an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of medicine. Such a strong mind is supposed to be controlled by the practice of yoga, but such practice is never practical for a worldly person like Arjuna. What can we say of modern man? The simile used here is appropriate. One cannot capture the blowing wind, and it is even more difficult to capture the turbulent mind. The easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance in all humility. The method is prescribed is Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayo. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then will there remain no other engagement to agitate the mind. Verse again, Sansalam Imana Krishna Pramati Balavatritam Tasyam Nihan Manye Vayo Eva Suduska. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, I think it's more difficult than controlling the winds. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Chananjana Salakaya Chaksharmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Gopaladamyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shiyuda Padakamalam Shigam Vaishnavam Sham Shri Upam Jagajatam Sakhanaraganatam Vitam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Saganadita Shri Vishakam Vitam Sa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwavana Sutadevi Pranamam Hare Panka Kautuvisha Kripan Sunvevisha Patinam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namo Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pachari Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachani Visatagni Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So Lord Krishna said to Arjuna, you must make your mind your friend, not your enemy. You must control your mind. You said before, when the mind wanders, you have to bring it back. Yato nishalati mana sansam. Yeah, anyway. Whenever the mind wanders, you have to bring it back. Like a horse, it runs out of the stable, you have to bring it back always. And this is Arjun's answer. He said, I cannot do it, Krishna. This mind is flickering. Sanchalam. The goddess of fortune is also Sanchalam. She moves from one place to another. Sanchalam. Pramati. Turbulent, agitating. That Balavat, very strong. Dridam, obstinate. Sometimes very stubborn in the mind. Krishna and Arjuna say, like controlling the wind. You go outside and you say to the wind, stop, but you cannot stop. So yes, what is Krishna's answer? Someone knows? Shall I read it? Shri Bhagavan Vacha Samsyama Bau Manu Niham Chalam Abhyasana Kauntiya Vairahena Sahiyate Abhyasam and Vairahya. Said, O mighty aunt, son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. Suitable practice and by detachment. Yesterday we discussed two obstacles. Who remembers these obstacles? Discussed. Who was there yesterday? No one? No.
Dvesa and
Raga and Dvesha. Attachment and aversion. When the mind becomes uncontrolled by attachment and aversion. We become attached to what gives pleasure to the body and the mind. Become averse to what gives pain to the body, distress, suffering. We don't want that. But you may, your entire life, trying to get as much as pleasure as possible for the body and try to avoid distress. What's the result at the end of life? You have to leave the body. The body for which you have, during your entire life, have tried to give as much pleasure as possible and avoid distress. If the mind is absorbed in attachment and aversion, we are in the body concept of life. And then spiritual life becomes impossible. You have to transcend the body concept of life. Transcend this attachment and aversion, so-called good and bad for the body and the mind. Krishna says you have to become equal to it. And that equanimity is yoga. But it's so difficult. Arjuna says, I cannot do it. that Prabhupada says this yoga system is impractical in this age. Maybe a handful can do it in the Himalayas somewhere. But for the general mass of people, we cannot do it. But Krishna said, yes, you can do it with detachment and suitable practice. Suitable practice. How do we cultivate detachment? We cultivate real detachment by becoming attached to Krishna. Then we realize everything belongs to Krishna and he's the proprietor of everything, not us. We are completely under his control. And everything should be done for his pleasure. That's transcendental knowledge. And then one transcends these modes by the practice of devotional service. Suitable practice and detachment. Prabhupada translates as suitable practice. That in English, suitable practice as practical. Prabhupada's translation. I found in many other languages that it's not translated in that way. That word suitable is very important. But in the Bhagavatam it is said that time goes in cycles and there are different yugas. In Kali Yuga, what was the suitable practice? What was the suitable practice in Satya Yuga? Meditation. Everyone had a controlled mind because everyone was in goodness. There was no passion, ignorance, no lust, no attachment and aversion. Everyone could just meditate. Someone asked Prabhupada, how long does it take to become Krishna conscious? And Prabhupada said, just a moment. A moment. The soul desires. If we really desire snow, we think of Krishna, but not for long. We cannot maintain it. But if we really want, we can think of Krishna, but the next moment, the mind goes to other things. We cannot maintain it. That because we don't have the quality of goodness. You must first purify our heart from passion and ignorance. And therefore, in Treta Yuga, the next age, some passion came in, some sinful activities. And they could not meditate anymore. So what was their practice to fix their mind on Krishna? Sakya. They have the Yuga avatars. In Satya Yuga was Hamsa avatar, and in Treta Yuga was Sakya avatar. Fire sacrifices. We do that also sometimes, but at important occasions, a fire sacrifice. But there are no qualified Brahmins to do that really. And more passion came in with some flavor of ignorance. And then we have Dvapara Yuga. What was the process of Dvapara Yuga? Deity worship. That because we could not meditate, we needed an object of meditation. The worship of the deity. At the end of Dvapara Yuga, Krishna appeared. And after his disappearance, Kali Yuga appeared. And who appeared in Kali Yuga to help us with the process? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He came to show how we can practice devotional service in this age and fix our mind on Krishna by the chanting of the holy names. But the chanting of the holy names that Lord Chaitanya teaches us to chant holy names, one must have a proper inner attitude, which is described by Lord Chaitanya's Trinata Pishanishna Tarora Visrishna Amana Manadina Kirtanya Sadari Nadanam Nachanam Nasundaram Kavta Pachri Shikami Mami Chamami Chamamishvari Bhavta Bhakti Ahait Kitvari. One should be more humble than grass in the street, more tolerant than a tree. One should be devoid of all false prestige and ready to give all honor to others. One should not want wealth, followers, no relationship with the opposite sex. One should only want to serve Krishna birth after birth. So it's not even not desiring liberation. But to come to that inner mood, we must have this appropriate attitude. And what prevents us to have this attitude is an offensive mentality. We cannot chant the holy name and make spiritual advancement if we don't respect the devotees, if we don't respect the spiritual master, that if we have misconceptions about the holy name, that we think this chanting of Hare Krishna is imagination, or I'm going to fulfill my material desires by chanting, or I do simple activities and then I chant, everything will be okay. These are offenses. And these offenses, what do they create in the mind? Raga and Vesha, attachment and aversion. You cannot be attentive to the holy name. The mind will bring you away of this attachment and aversion. It's fun. Therefore, we have at one side in Bhagavad Gita advice how to chant attentive, how to come to that point. At the other side, we must give up these offenses. We will first speak about the first, the advice of Krishna, to advice that helps to control the mind from Bhagavad Gita. That in the 6th chapter here, Krishna gives advice. First, Natyasnatasta yogosti na shakantanam as anashnata nachapichvala silasya jakhato naivachayanam. There is no possibility of one becoming a yogi, Arjun, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much and does not sleep enough. So what happens when you, in the mind, when you eat too much? Why do we eat too much? What is too much?
More than required.
Please?
More than required.
More than required. But what is more than required? What is the difference between? Because you can say, okay, I give up my eating as much as possible. Is that a good idea? Krishna says not too much, not too less. That it's important. The question is, what does the body need? You have to give what the body needs, not more. What does the body need? Ayurveda says you can eat what you can digest. What can we digest? Ayurveda said what you can hold in your two hands, you can digest in one time. That we have all different hands. So it's all different. Bhima's hands will be a little bigger. Yes, big hands. That from what you can hold. Ayurveda says in the morning you can take 40 to 60%. At noontime, 80 to 90%. And in the evening, 10 to 12%. That, of course, when one is spiritually advanced, then that eating becomes even much less. The Haridas Thakur was chanting 3 lakhs of holy names every day. Took him 20 and a half hours. That nearly 22 hours. He had 2 hours left. Half hour he was eating something, taking a bath, eating, and 1.5 hours sleeping. We cannot imitate that. That's for the spiritual advanced. It's not advised to jump to that point. What happens when you eat too much? The mind comes in ignorance. And when you eat too less, when you eat too much, what happens? You are going to sleep too much. Because eating gives you energy, but eating takes also energy. If you eat too much, it takes your energy. And many times it takes your energy because it has to produce fat to store it in your body. It takes energy. That energy we need for Krishna's service. And the mind comes in ignorance and uncontrollable. If you eat too much, then because anyway, we come back to that, but if you eat too less, you don't sleep at night. You don't get deep sleep. If you don't get deep sleep, you are not rested in the morning. And you cannot focus the mind with attention. That's also important. Because when during the day we are so-called awake, but because we are in the bodily concept of life, we are not awake. It's a daydream. A daydream, we're thinking we are the body and the mind. At night, we sleep. So awake is Jagrati, sleeping is sleeping. Different stages. Swapna is dreaming, and we dream that the consciousness is in the subtle body. When we are awake, the consciousness that comes from the soul is in the subtle body and the gross body. The mind is a channel to which the consciousness goes from the soul to the subtle, to the subtle body, to the gross. And so the subtle body is mind intelligence. But if we have spot now, the consciousness is withdrawn from the gross body, it's in the subtle body, and the mind goes wild. That there is no control of the intelligence when you sleep, and it does crazy things in the dream state. Swapna. But then you have the Supti. So Supti, there the consciousness is withdrawn from the gross body, is withdrawn from the subtle body, and is in the soul, is withdrawn in the soul consciousness. And at that time, the mind is resting, rejuvenating. The mind, the intelligence is rejuvenating. It needs that deep rest. But we are still there, we are still conscious at that moment, but we are conscious only of the soul. That our consciousness is withdrawn within the soul. And that's the subtlety we need. Otherwise, if you don't get deep sleep, people who don't get deep sleep, they get many times crazy after some time. You need deep sleep. That it makes the mind uncontrolled. So to control the mind, it is so important that we follow these instructions of Krishna here. Not eating too much, not too less, just what we need. That it's for everyone different. But if you make progress, you get older, because there's a difference when you are young and you are older. When you are older, you have to diminish your eating. Prabhupada was very strict in that. He said that many times when you're older, you must eat less, because your digestion is not so strong anymore. And because otherwise you eat, and if you overeat when you are old, creates toxins, and these toxins will find their way in your body. So you have to reduce eating when you are older. So this all requires education. That because there is a strong relationship with controlling the mind. Eating too much, too less. And also, what we eat is important. Very important. Krishna speaks about that, in Bhagavad Gita, food in the modes, food in ignorance, food in passion, food in goodness. We should eat food in goodness, usually. Food in goodness. Because food, if one eats food in ignorance, one cannot control the mind. It's not possible. Therefore, to control the mind and give attention, what should one do? I have here, I think it's here. This is the last verse of the third chapter of the first canto. Sutta Goswami speaking. Sutta Goswami says that I will tell you the same thing as I've heard from my spiritual master with rapt attention, and I will explain it according to my realization. He says, hearing with rapt attention. It's important. If we hear, if we read, and we are really absorbed, we are going to get a lot of information by our attention. But if we are not absorbed in hearing or reading, you can, if your mind is disturbed, you can read a whole page and then you say, what did I read? You don't remember. It's gone. So rapt attention is a very important quality that in devotional service, we are the consciousness, and to give attention with our consciousness is so important. If you can give attention, the quality of your life will increase in everything you do. And especially, it's a necessity for spiritual life to give attention, rapt attention. That in the purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks about giving rapt attention. No one can give rapt attention who is not pure in mind. What does it mean, not pure in mind? That attachment and aversion. Attachment and aversion comes from lust. That if you are lust in your mind, in your intelligence, that rapt attention is not possible. So, but why is our mind impure? No one can be pure in mind when it's not pure in action. Prabhupada said. Pure in action. So if one eats meat, fish, or eggs in the mode of it brings one's mind in a mode of ignorance and attaches one's mind in the mode of ignorance. That one in the mode of ignorance is averse to what's in the mode of goodness. That where, yeah, somewhere in China, or I don't know exactly where, but the people, the villagers, or the people around were complaining about our cooking. They said this cooking with ghee, it smells bad. We don't want that here. But these villagers, they kept all a kind of vessel on the roof of their cottages or whatever. It was full with fermented meat, and that was rotting there. And that's in the sun it was fermenting, and then they got a juice from that, and they were drinking that. So that's the deepest mode of ignorance. they could not stand something in goodness. Not possible. That's, yeah. So if one performs illicit sex, it makes the mind completely weak. That's, if one gambles, if one takes intoxication, no way to control the mind is impossible. The Prabhupada says here, yeah, if one is not pure in action, then the mind cannot be pure. And so to be pure in action means to be pure in eating, sleeping, faring, mating, means following the four related principles. So that is important, that we need a lifestyle in goodness and give up these sinful activities, because it makes your mind uncontrolled. That is one aspect which is very important. So Krishna says, of course, eating, sometimes people are asking us, why are you not eating garlic? What's wrong with it? And onions? What's the problem? Well, the first devotee that I met was Mahavishnu Goswami. He was a Swami originally from Rajkot, Gujarati, was living in London. And he said in Rajkot many times they had marriages. Marriage is a big thing in India, you know that. And at these marriages they have all kinds of food. And he said many times at these marriages there were Punjabis, and they like to eat these chilies and this garlic and so on, these onions. And so they are eating, and a few hours later they are fighting with each other. So it brings your mind to the mode of ignorance. And your mind is difficult to control just by eating that. Therefore, Krishna says, you must always eat prasadam. Never eat something which is not offered to Krishna. Always prasadam. A devotee's prasadam, if there's no prasadam, he will not eat. That it's an important aspect, because how is that related with controlling the mind? The body is made of food. We eat food. We eat this food. But if we only eat prasadam, then the body becomes healthy. All your cells are replaced every 6 years. 6 years eating prasadam means your body becomes prasadam. If you do that 6 years, you will see your ability to control your mind increases enormously just by doing that. And that's a fact. But we need our discipline. Only prasadam. Of course, we eat also food in amount of passion. We may like to eat pizza. We offer it to Krishna. But when it's offered to Krishna, it's okay. But we cannot offer anything to Krishna in the mode of ignorance. That we don't do. That's important. So that is also an aspect of our life. Live in goodness, be very clean, follow the four relative principles, eat only prasadam. That will bring us to goodness, helps us to control the mind. So food is an important aspect. If we eat food from people outside, their consciousness is going to in the food. And we eat the food and that consciousness comes in our mind and makes our mind uncontrollable. That is important. That so yes, that about Krishna says he spoke about eating not too much and not too less, and what to eat, at which times, that and sleeping not too much, not too less. Prabhupada said many times you need sleeping maximum 6 hours. If you sleep more than 6 hours, you are in ignorance. Well, ignorance creeps in. That, but we need sleep. Because if you are not rested in the morning, what will the quality of your chanting be? You fall asleep. No, you must awake conscious to chant. That then Krishna says, Yukta Harivyarasya Yukta Sisyasya Karmasu Yukta Spatna Pabodasya Yoga Bhavanti Dukam. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. Yeah. Prabhupada gives in the purport of, he says the following: as eating is concerned, it can be regulated only when one is practiced to take and accept prasadam, sanctified food. So Prabhupada confirmed what I said here. He say also, a Krishna consciousness is always alert in the discharge of his duty in Krishna consciousness, and therefore any unnecessary time spent sleeping is considered a great loss. But regulated is very important. Be regulated. Don't go sleep. Don't go to sleep late. For spiritual life, we have to get up early. That my guru Maharaj told, or Bhaktacharya Maharaj told all his disciples, you have to get up. Every day you have to get up before 4 o'clock. Well, all my god brothers and god sisters put their alarm clock at 5 to 4. to get early up. That means you have to go early to bed. You may count 6 hours sleep, but you don't sleep immediately. Means 7 hours in bed. So means at latest 9 o'clock we should go to bed. The night, the evening is ignorance. The morning is goodness. The more and the more we come to noontime, the more passion comes in. The evening, passion and ignorance. That ignorance, we sleep and get up early, so that we have full advances, full advancement of the goodness in the morning. The morning is peaceful, and if you get up at 3 o'clock, no phone calls, no activities, you can peacefully chant and concentrate, and that will give you the strength during the day to control your mind. That it gives you intelligence and strength, the chanting. But the next day I will speak about the chanting of the holy name and to avoid offenses. At least I will give an introduction about that. There's a book I wrote on how to chant the holy name, and I will speak only about the introduction, but there's many important things out there. But one thing is very important in the matter of the chanting of the holy name. This attachment and aversion. We cannot think of Krishna or not concentrate on the holy name because of this attachment and aversion. So all these points we made, that if you become attached to sleeping more than necessary, that's the mind may tell you that, or attached to sleeping, to eating more than necessary. Like a devotee says, yeah, he decides tomorrow is Ekadashi, I'm going for a full fast. And he starts chanting and said, yes, I'm going for a full fast. 23 hours and I can eat. 10 minutes later, yes, I'm going for a full fast. 22 hours and 50 minutes I can eat. So the mind is more concentrating on eating because it's addicted to eating. If there is no, if it's time to eat and you fast, and the mind, because if the mind is too contaminated, it rings alarm. So you are going to feel bad when you are not eating. But when you are fasting on Ekadashi, then you feel very hot inside. That the digestion starts to purify your system and start to kill so many bad bacteria, which is purification. And all these toxins, they come in your blood and to be removed to the urine and so on, but they come also in your head and you get a headache. You think, I'm fasting, I get a headache. And the mind says, see, you fast, it's not good for you, you get a headache, it's bad. You should eat, the mind says. But when you get a headache, it's a good sign. It means you become purified. And it will go away after some hours. You have just to endure it. It's good for your health. At least for those who have no major diseases. And that's another thing. But it's good for your health to this intermittent fasting. Therefore, we fast on Ekadashi. It's very good that. But yeah, the mind says you should not do it. That skipping one meal, it's just invention of the mind. That should not come under the control of the mind. We should try to understand what's good for our health with our intelligence. And eventually consult health specialists, those who are good in it. That I was in Mauritius. Ayodhyanath Prabhu is an homeopath, and is making many times people to purify themselves, fast for 10 days. You get only a kind of serum that I did that, but it didn't have much effect on me because I had not much impurities in my body, not so much. That because I try to live a pure life, but many times you had result where many people they had diabetes and they got rid of it just by fasting 10 days. But you had to encourage them every day to go further because their mind is rebelling. that the mind is cheating us in so many ways that this feeling, thinking, feeling, willing. Therefore, we should become Drita Vrata and control our mind with our intelligence. In this verse, in the purport that we read, that many times the intelligence is overwhelmed by the mind. But the mind is an instrument we have to use. That we should not come under the control of this mind. Then you become a godas, a servant of the senses and the mind. But we are Krishna das. We should serve Krishna, not his senses. That's because we are spiritual energy. Krishna says we are apariyamitas tamyam parati vidime param. The living entities are the superior energy, the spiritual energy. And all this body, this senses, this mind is made of matter. Is the lower energy. So what happens when we come under control of the lower energy? We suffer like anything. And that's what we experience in this world. But that's not our normal condition. We are the higher energy, the spiritual energy. And we should not come under the control of the lower energy. We should connect with the higher energy, with the spiritual energy. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you have to become a Mahatma. Mahatmas tu mam parta devim pragati ashuti. A Mahatma is one who knows how he connects with the spiritual energy. That this is important. This is not our normal condition. A normal condition is that the soul is connected with Krishna in devotional service. And this mind and these senses are instruments we can use in his service. But we should not become the servant of the instruments. Then it's a crazy situation, craziness. That one last point I want to make is attachment and aversion. If someone has done something wrong to us, or we think is wrong, this person becomes our enemy. And sometimes we think, yeah, this person has abused us, or this or that, and that is my enemy. That is very dangerous, especially with devotees, to keep a grudge in your heart towards someone else. Prabhupada speaks in the Bhagavad Gita, well, Krishna speaks in two places of the Bhagavad Gita, 10 verses 3, 5, and in 16, chapter 1 to 3. In both, the word ksama is mentioned. Ksama means forgiveness. We should forgive the minor offenses of others, Prabhupada says. Minor offenses, what are big offenses? There are 6 aggressors. It's in the scriptures. There are 6 aggressors. One who steals one's wife, who puts one house on fire, who poisons one, and so on. And the Kurus had done all these things. Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra and all this Sakuni and all. They did all these things. These are not minor offenses. But all the others are minor offenses that we should forgive. If we don't forgive, we are not compassionate with ourselves. To develop love, because that creates attachment and aversion in your mind. You start to chant, and you think of this person has done this to me and that to me, and where's your consciousness go? It's going to the past. No. We have to forgive. It's very important. If we are not forgiving, this attachment and aversion stays in our mind. We may not be able to forgive in person, maybe. The person may already passed away, or the person may be far away of the person, or it may be socially not acceptable. That's fine, but in our heart we should forgive. Otherwise, the door to Krishna remains closed. That every Krishna consciousness developing love for Krishna, what does it mean? Who is Krishna? Who are we? We are part and parcels. We are also part of Krishna. You cannot say, I love Krishna, but not this devotee. No, you have to learn all part and parcels in this world. So we have to learn to forgive. It's difficult. That Bhima was fighting with Duryodhana, club fight. And Balaram came between and he said, stop this. You are equal in power. That one is more skilled in techniques and the other has more power. But it's useless. That just stop this fight. But they could not. Because Bhima and Duryodhana were remembering this, and he did that to me and that to me, and they could not stop. That the fight went on. But this is important, because are we compassionate with ourselves? Is it worthwhile to stay in this world birth after birth because someone, you feel hate for someone? It's not compassionate with ourselves. We stay in this world by that. We want to go back to the spiritual world. My Guru Maharaj always said Bhakti Charanaj, don't look back. Forget the past. Forget the past. Your future is brilliant. Going back to the spiritual world. All what happened, all these cultures, let it go with the past. And look for the future. It makes your mind completely uncontrollable. You think about all these things. But sometimes it's too strong, we cannot let go. But we have to continue hearing the Bhagavatam and chant, but especially at the same time the Bhagavatam. Then By hearing, you learn about the fertility of material life. We should not take this mind serious. It gives us all nonsense that we have got so many issues in previous lives and the lives before and the life before. You still think about that? No, it's gone. We are the verge of leaving this body. Today or in a few years or in 20 years or in 40 years, okay, but you have to leave this body. And then you leave everything behind, all relations, everything, everything gone. One moment or another. The only thing that remains is your relationship with Krishna. The rest is gone. Krishna is your real friend. So this is important for controlling the mind. That is attachment and aversion, especially forgiving, being forgiving, should always consider that if someone comes to me and says something naughty, that or abuses us, what does it mean? It means we have done that in our previous lives. And this person is ordered by Krishna to give you the reaction. So the fault lies in us, not in the others. That's the difference between a spiritual advanced person and another. If something it goes wrong, he always thinks the fault lies in me, not in the others. That is spiritual consciousness. But by hearing the Bhagavatam, we start to understand that firmly. Therefore, we must hear at least 1 hour a day the Bhagavatam, combined with the chanting, and that will improve. We say that every morning, Nastri Sabhati Sunitya Bhagavata Sevana Bhagavata Tamastri Bhakti Bhagavata Nastri. By regular attendance of the Bhagavatam and by service to the devotee, we make advancement. We serve the devotee, the spiritual master, who gives us the order. You chant Hare Krishna, you hear the Bhagavatam and so on. And you hear the Bhagavatam. That will help us to control the mind. And then this attentive hearing is so important. And Srila Prabhupada, he was representative of a pharmaceutical company from Calcutta and was selling these products all over India. And one time he came near to Delhi and he heard that his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, gave a lecture in Koshi. Yes, and a part of Rajamandal, Koshi. I did 3 times a complete Rajamandal, 30 days. Every time we came in Koshi. And so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj gave a lecture and Prabhupada arrived. And one of the brahmacharis went to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and said, Bhakta Abai arrived. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, yes, I noted him. He is hearing very attentively. And therefore, I will give him initiation. That was his consideration, to give him an initiation, because he was hearing attentively. That Prabhupada, this is in Prabhupada Lilamrita, Prabhupada said, my spiritual master was speaking very, very high knowledge. And I could not understand everything, but I tried to continue with hearing with attention. So that is so important that try to do things with attention. I traveled as a brahmachari many years with Prahladananda Swami. Many times we were together because we were preaching in the Balkan states, East European countries after the Iron Curtain fall away. That it started at the end of the 90s till 2014. I was every year a few months, 3 months traveling with him. That and he was in the when we were waiting for a flight. On his computer, he was reading the database, and he would be so absorbed. He didn't hear anything, didn't look at everything. He was just absorbed in hearing until we were boarding. And then we were boarding, and we were on the flight, and he had his headphones on, hearing lectures. That this was no absorption in the external world. That just Prabhupada's books. And if you have that deep absorption, then you get a lot from the books. Yeah. Also, that's also if one studies. I studied 16 years at the university. 16 years. But if you study and you are absorbed, then study becomes easy. You give attention. It increases the quality of your life. Whatever you do, this attention is very important. Mostly we become deviated by weakness of heart, attachment to sense gratification, attachment to things around us. And the consciousness, the attention deviates. And today, this is one of the greatest dangers. And the internet, all this, we should use that where it's useful in Krishna consciousness. But I've seen many devotees are on this Instagram and the other, what is it, Facebook. That's very dangerous. They make offenses. I'm making so many comments. And they ruin their spiritual life. Best all to delete your membership of it. That's my advice. You do what you want, but it's more dangerous and beneficial many times. But it makes you absorb in Kajalpa, all things which are nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. And the internet also. If you read the world news every day, you become depressed. But yeah, some you have to read. I'm reading the headlines because I'm traveling a lot. I have to know what's going on in the countries to be aware what to do and what not to do. But otherwise, yeah. Anyway, this is a few things I could say about keeping the mind at bay, under control, and fix it on Krishna. That, of course, why is the mind uncontrolled? Nectar of instruction, 6 things not to do. Atyara prayasha saprajalpaniya margam, chana sanga salalyam satpir bhakti vinashati. Eating more than necessary. That over endeavoring for material things, not for speaking about sense gratification, speaking about others and criticizing them, that not following the rules and regulations, or not knowing why one is following it, association with people only interested in sense gratification. So yes, that makes the mind uncontrolled. What makes the mind controlled is utsaamisjada ja tatat karma pravartanat. Shanat saturite sapir bhaktir Ashidati. I forgot one word, but it means we have to be enthusiastic in devotions. Enthusiastic means absorb ourselves with enthusiasm. That we must have confidence. If we follow this process, we will be able to get the perfection. But it doesn't happen overnight, Dayat. We have to be patient. Patience. Every day we chant. Every day we change. Something auspicious has happened every day. Like every day you look you look in the mirror and say, is there any difference from yesterday? And say, I don't see. You say that every day for 10 years. But 10 years, you look at a picture 10 years ago, a big change. So we are changing just by chanting. But to get the process, to accelerate it, we must give attention. If the attention is there, it's very limited. If we get full attention, then we are going to make advancement. We want to love Krishna. Prahlad Nanamach always said to me, first give your attention and then you can give your love. But first there must be attention and then you give your love. Prabhupada also said, first you have to become conscious, then you can become Krishna conscious. That conscious of our bad habits and rectify them. Good, any questions, comments?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I want to know about chanting. So when we chant, I saw sometimes people do chant on counter, like they count. And I want to know if I'm traveling towards my work and I have enough time, like 1 hour travel time. So is it okay if I chant during that time?
Yeah, sure.
So that will count like as because
every time you Prabhupada said he had this feedback with him. I put it here. But he said, every moment you are free, you chant.
So that will count towards my 16
Yeah,
mala?
yeah, yeah. You can chant on your mala or you can chant over clicker if that is more easy. But then you have to count the 108 is 1 round multiplied by 16. You calculate it.
That will still go
Yeah,
towards my mala.
that's no problem. You chant when Prabhupada many times said, chanting 16 rounds. You get up in the morning, you chant six rounds. Then before your breakfast, you chant 4 rounds, otherwise no breakfast. And at noontime, before your lunch, you chant 4 rounds. And before dinner, you chant 4 rounds. And so on. That, yeah. But we must be practical. If we are working, if we are doing so many things, And if you are a commuter, yeah, that's the best activity. But during your travel, chant, always chant during your travel. That is nice. That yeah. Whenever we time, and when we are in the car and we are driving back, I'm also chanting every moment that we are free, chanting. Good. Yeah. Something else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I have one question.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very, very good chanting, and sometimes it's bad chanting. Very bad chanting. So how can we overcome from the bad chanting?
What do you think is bad chanting and what's good chanting?
No, not quality chanting.
Not quality chanting. Sometimes is when I'm chanting, like my focus is Krishna, and sometimes when I'm chanting, my focus is other side. I don't know. I try to control, but it goes away.
And some it's with attention, that's a good chanting. When there is no attention, it's a bad chanting. Is that what you mean? Yeah. Yeah, that's going up and down. That's the material world. But it's good to, if you look at that advice we heard today, if you are nicely rested and balanced in your eating, sleeping, you will be able to be more steady in the chanting. That because if you are not rested or you dealt the previous day with a lot of problems and they are still in your mind and so on, and the mind is going wild, then yeah, what can we do? But we keep on chanting. It will go up and down. And that is to be expected. But we should be steady and do our best. And Krishna sees that in the heart. But it's also good to reflect. If my chanting is bad, there's always a reason. What is the reason? And then one should try to work on that. Yeah, that. Yeah, try to improve that. Because many times we are chanting. Chanting means this is my private time with Krishna. You have to tell your mind all the other things. Okay, we have to deal with that later, not now. Now chanting. And we have to educate the mind into that. And that takes a while to get the mind to listen. Because if we chant and we listen to the mind and at the same time, that's a problem. If we chant and while we chant we make our shopping list, we are not going to make advancement. If we chant and we think, oh, you have still that to do and that to do, and you dwell on the problems, then you are not really chanting. You are the servant of your mind. So, but if we can chant with attention, then we become stronger in controlling the mind. If we are fast on Ekadashi, even half a day, it gives us strength to control the mind. We need the determination to say to the mind, no sense gratification, just regulated sense gratification, what you need, not more. We need to be firm with the mind, that determination should be there. And that determination comes from following the four regulative principles, from living in goodness and be balanced in what we do. Does that help? Thank you. Anything else?
Maharaj, there is a Christian from June,
Yeah.
a young youth. His name is Murari. He's asking Maharaj that we know Krishna is everywhere. Why should we go to temple?
Yeah. Well, Murari, if you see Krishna's everywhere, every moment, if you see him everywhere, every moment, you don't have to go to the temple. But that's the position of a Mahabhagavat, the most advanced devotee. We are not on that level. Mostly, we have difficulty to think of Krishna. We are absorbed in our mind. So, therefore, we need to go to the temple. I tell you, as a brahmachari in Radhadesh, 10 years at Mangalarti before Radha Gopinath. And what's the effect? 10 years, no day missing Radha Gopinath. Now, if I want to think of Radha Gopinath, it's in my mind. It's fixed in my mind. That, and that's the effect of going to Mangalarti and seeing the deity every day. But yes, that Krishna is everywhere. If you see him everywhere, fine, that's Krishna consciousness. But Krishna is everywhere. If we don't see Krishna everywhere, then you are in Maya. You should go to the temple and see the deity. That will help. Is that okay?
So is there not another reason that if we go to the temple, we can chant or do the kirtan with all other souls? If I remain at home, I'll chant only with myself.
Yeah, but the question was about seeing the deity. That's all correct what you said. And anything else? Good. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.